you ever looked at an old 1979 D, 1980, 1982 D, and 1983 Lincoln 1-cent coin lying in a jar, hidden in a drawer, or forgotten inside an old wallet, and wondered if it could secretly be worth a life-changing fortune? What if the coin that almost everyone ignores every single day was hiding an incredible story stretching back generations? Could one tiny piece of copper really be worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of dollars? Today we're uncovering the fascinating truth behind the 1979 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent, separating exciting facts from unbelievable myths, and exploring why collectors continue searching through billions of pennies in hopes of discovering an extraordinary treasure. Before you spend another penny without looking at it carefully, stay with me because the history, the mistakes, and the surprising collector stories behind this little coin may completely change the way you look at pocket change forever. Step 1. The Lincoln Cent has one of the richest histories of any American coin ever produced. In 1909, the United States Mint celebrated the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth by placing his portrait on the 1-cent coin. This was a historic moment because Lincoln became the first real person ever featured on a regularly circulating American coin. Before that time, American coins mostly displayed symbolic figures instead of actual presidents. The design honored Lincoln's leadership during one of the nation's most difficult periods and recognized his role in preserving the Union while working toward the end of slavery. Over the decades, billions of Lincoln cents have passed through the hands of ordinary Americans, becoming one of the most recognized coins in the entire world. Fast forward to 1979. America was experiencing economic uncertainty, rising inflation, changing technology, and growing interest in coin collecting. During this period, the United States Mint continued producing the Lincoln Memorial Cent, a design first introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. On the reverse side appeared the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and if you looked closely enough, you could even see a tiny image of Abraham Lincoln seated inside the memorial. This remarkable artistic detail made the coin unique among world currencies. The coin you're asking about carries several familiar inscriptions. Across the top is "In God We Trust," reflecting a national motto that has appeared on American coins for many decades. To the left is the word "Liberty," representing one of the nation's founding ideals. The date 1979 appears to the right of Lincoln's portrait, and just below the date sits the small D Mint mark, indicating the coin was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado. On the reverse, the words United States of America appear across the top. EPLUBUSUNUM rests above the Lincoln Memorial, and 1 cent is displayed prominently below. Every inscription tells a small part of America's story. Millions upon millions of 1979 D. Lincoln cents were produced. In fact, well over 4 billion examples came from the Denver Mint that year. Because such a massive number entered circulation, most ordinary 1979 D pennies remain extremely common today. A typical circulated example showing heavy wear, dirt, scratches, or discoloration is generally worth only 1 cent or a small premium to collectors. Although social media videos sometimes claim that every 1979 D penny is worth millions of dollars, those claims are simply not true. So why do people continue searching through jars of old pennies? The answer is simple. While ordinary examples are common, collectors know that rare minting mistakes, unusual varieties, and exceptional preservation can dramatically increase a coin's value. During the minting process, machines occasionally produce unexpected errors. Sometimes a coin is struck off center. Sometimes the design appears doubled because of a die variety. Occasionally, a coin is struck on the wrong metal planchet intended for another denomination. These fascinating mistakes are genuinely collectible because they are uncommon and represent accidental moments in minting history. Another factor affecting value is condition. Professional coin grading companies examine coins under magnification and assign numerical grades based on how well they have been preserved. A coin that never entered circulation and still displays brilliant original mint luster can be worth significantly more than one that spent decades in pockets, cash registers, and vending machines. Collectors often pay strong premiums for coins that appear nearly perfect because finding flawless examples becomes increasingly difficult over time. Many stories circulate online claiming a dirty 1979 penny sold for hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. While rare coins have indeed sold for astonishing amounts, those sales almost always involve extraordinary circumstances. The coin may have been an extremely rare error, an experimental strike, a unique variety, or one of the finest known examples certified by professional grading experts. Simply being old, dirty, or having a Denver Mint mark does not automatically make a penny incredibly valuable. One of the biggest misconceptions involves confusing ordinary circulation coins with extremely rare mint errors. A normal 1979 cent and a major error coin may look similar at first glance, but experienced collectors carefully inspect every detail. They examine the date, mint mark, lettering, surfaces, weight, diameter, color, and strike quality. Even tiny differences can separate an ordinary 1-cent coin from an exciting collectible discovery. Abraham Lincoln himself remains one of the biggest reasons these coins continue attracting worldwide attention. Born in a humble log cabin in Kentucky in 1809, Lincoln rose through determination, honesty, and relentless learning to become the 16th President of the United States. His leadership during the Civil War preserved the nation through immense hardship, and his commitment to freedom transformed American history forever. Every Lincoln cent serves as a miniature tribute to those achievements, allowing millions of people to carry a small piece of history every day. The Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, has produced countless American coins since opening in the early 20th century. Known for its enormous production capacity, the facility manufactures coins that circulate across the nation. Because the Denver Mint struck billions of 1979 cents, most remain readily available, but collectors never stop searching because unusual minting errors can emerge from even the largest production runs. If you discover a 1979 penny that appears unusual, resist the temptation to clean it. Cleaning often leaves microscopic scratches that reduce collector value. Instead, store the coin carefully in a protective holder and compare it with trusted reference materials or have it examined by a reputable coin dealer or professional grading service. Preserving the coin's original surfaces is generally the best approach. The excitement surrounding rare coins comes from the possibility of finding something genuinely extraordinary in an ordinary place. Throughout history, collectors have occasionally discovered valuable coins in inherited collections, old piggy banks, forgotten jars, estate sales, and even everyday pocket change. These discoveries inspire millions of people to examine their coins more closely, hoping to uncover a hidden treasure of their own. Can a 1979 Lincoln cent make someone a billionaire overnight? Realistically, no ordinary example can do that. There is no verified evidence that a regular circulated 1979 Lincoln cent is worth hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. However, truly exceptional error coins and historically important rarities from various years have sold for impressive sums because of their rarity, authenticity, and demand among serious collectors. The dream of discovering an important rarity continues to fuel the excitement of coin collecting, but success depends on knowledge, careful examination, and realistic expectations rather than internet myths. Every coin tells a story. The 1979 Lincoln cent tells the story of American history, national ideals, advanced minting technology, and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln. It reminds us that even the smallest object can connect generations through history, art, economics, and culture. Whether your penny is worth 1 cent or considerably more, its journey through countless hands over decades makes it a remarkable witness to everyday life. So the next time you receive change from a store, don't ignore those humble pennies. Take a closer look. Examine the date, the mint mark, the lettering, and the condition. You may not discover a million-dollar rarity, but you'll gain a deeper appreciation for the history carried by every coin. Sometimes the greatest treasure isn't just its monetary value, it's the incredible story it has traveled through time to tell. If you enjoyed uncovering the truth behind the 1979 Lincoln cent and want more fascinating stories about rare coins, valuable errors, and hidden collectibles, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another exciting episode. Share this video with friends and family who love coin collecting, and check the links in the description for more content exploring America's most interesting coins. Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and remember that every coin has a story waiting to be discovered. Step 2. America was entering a new decade filled with change. Technology was advancing, inflation was affecting everyday life, and millions of people used cash for nearly every purchase they made. Pennies passed from hand to hand every day without anyone paying much attention to them. Yet every one of those small copper-colored coins carried a piece of American history. While many people saw only a single cent, collectors saw something much more meaningful, a chance to preserve history and perhaps discover a rare treasure hiding in plain sight. The Lincoln cent itself has an incredible history. In 1909, the United States Mint introduced a brand new 1-cent coin to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was a groundbreaking moment because Lincoln became the first real historical figure to appear on a circulating American coin. Before then, most U.S. coins featured symbolic figures instead of actual people. The decision honored Lincoln's extraordinary leadership during one of the nation's most difficult periods and recognized his lasting impact on American history. The 1980 Lincoln cent continued that proud tradition. On the front of the coin, collectors find Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait facing right. Above his head appear the words "In God We Trust," a national motto that has appeared on American coins for many years. To the left is the word liberty, representing one of the nation's founding ideals. To the right appears the date 1980, sometimes accompanied by a small mint mark, depending on where the coin was struck. Turn the coin over, and another important design appears. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., a monument dedicated to the president whose leadership changed the nation forever. Above the memorial are the words "EPLUBUSUNUM," a Latin phrase meaning, out of many, one. Across the top appears United States of America, while the bottom proudly displays 1 cent, identifying the coin's denomination. One fascinating detail many people never notice is that a tiny image of Abraham Lincoln can actually be seen seated inside the memorial, a remarkable artistic achievement considering the coin's small size. The United States Mint produced the 1980 Lincoln cent at several facilities. Coins struck without a mint mark came from Philadelphia. Coins with the small letter D were produced at the Denver Mint in Colorado. Coins marked with an S were struck in San Francisco, primarily as specially made proof coins intended for collectors. Each mint had its own role in producing America's coinage, and together they created billions of pennies during the year. Because so many 1980 pennies were produced, most examples found in circulation today are common. A heavily worn or dirty 1980 penny is usually worth only its face value of 1 cent, or perhaps a small premium if it remains attractive. However, collectors never stop examining these coins because a small number contain unusual characteristics that make them much more desirable. The excitement begins with mint errors. During the manufacturing process, coins are struck by powerful presses working at incredible speed. Occasionally, something unexpected happens. A blank coin may not line up correctly, creating an off-center strike. Sometimes a die develops a flaw, producing unusual markings. In rare situations, a coin may even be struck on the wrong type of blank intended for another denomination. These genuine mint errors are much scarcer than ordinary coins and often attract strong interest from collectors. Condition is another major factor in determining value. A coin that has spent decades moving through pockets, cash registers, vending machines, and piggy banks naturally develops scratches, wear, and discoloration. By contrast, a coin preserved carefully from the day it left the mint may still display brilliant original luster and nearly flawless surfaces. Professional grading services evaluate coins under magnification and assign grades that help collectors understand their quality. Higher-grade coins are generally much more valuable because so few survive in exceptional condition. Many videos and social media posts claim that every 1980 penny is worth millions of dollars. That simply isn't true. Extraordinary prices are reserved for coins that are genuinely rare because of significant mint errors, exceptional preservation, or other unusual characteristics verified by experts. A normal circulated 1980 penny, even if it looks old or dirty, does not automatically become a valuable collectible. The real excitement lies in discovering the uncommon examples hidden among the ordinary ones. Abraham Lincoln's story is one of the reasons these coins continue inspiring collectors around the world. Born in a humble log cabin in Kentucky in 1809, Lincoln overcame hardship through determination, education, and perseverance. His presidency guided the nation through the Civil War, and his leadership helped preserve the United States during one of its darkest chapters. His image on the penny reminds millions of Americans of courage, honesty, and the importance of unity. For many collectors, the hunt is just as exciting as the discovery. They search through bank rolls, inherited collections, estate sales, flea markets, and jars filled with old change. Most coins they examine are ordinary, but every once in a while someone finds a remarkable variety or error that transforms an everyday penny into an exciting collectible. Those discoveries keep the hobby alive and encourage new generations to look more closely at the coins passing through their hands every day. Have you ever wondered why two pennies from the exact same year can have completely different values? One may buy nothing more than a piece of candy, while another, almost identical at first glance, can attract the attention of serious collectors. The answer lies in details so small that most people never notice them. Experienced coin collectors don't just see a penny, they see history, craftsmanship, rarity, and the possibility of discovering something extraordinary. Take a closer look at a 1980 Lincoln sent under good lighting. Every letter, every number, and every tiny detail tells part of its story. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials, VDB, appear in tiny letters near the lower edge of Lincoln's shoulder on modern examples. Although many people never notice these initials, they remind collectors of the artist whose work has become one of the most recognized coin designs in American history. The reverse of the 1980 penny is equally fascinating. Frank Gasparro designed the Lincoln Memorial that appears on the back of the coin. Creating such a detailed building on a coin only 19 millimeters across was an incredible artistic achievement. Even today, collectors admire the precision needed to place tiny columns, steps, and Lincoln's seated figure within such a small space. One reason collectors enjoy searching through 1980 pennies is that the minting process isn't perfect. Massive coin presses strike thousands of coins every hour. Even with careful quality control, occasional mistakes occur. Some coins show a slight off-center strike, where part of the design is missing because the blank was not perfectly aligned. Others display die cracks, which appear as raised lines caused by small fractures in the coin die. While minor examples may add only modest collector interest, dramatic mint errors are much scarcer and can command significantly higher prices than ordinary coins. Collectors also pay attention to the coin's color. A freshly minted 1980 cent originally displayed a bright reddish appearance. Over time, exposure to air, moisture, and handling gradually changes that color to reddish-brown and eventually to brown. Professional grading companies often describe copper coins as red, RD, red-brown, RB, or brown, BN. A coin that has retained its original bright red color for decades is generally much more desirable than one that has darkened through circulation. Another important concept is luster. Luster is the natural shine created during the striking process when fresh metal flows into every detail of the coin's design. Once a coin enters circulation, that original brilliance slowly disappears through everyday use. Collectors often pay substantial premiums for coins that still display strong original mint luster because such examples become increasingly difficult to find as the years pass. One of the biggest mistakes new collectors make is cleaning old coins. At first glance, polishing a dirty penny may seem like a good idea, but it usually has the opposite effect. Cleaning can leave tiny scratches or alter the natural surface of the metal, reducing the coin's appeal to collectors. In many cases, an untouched coin with honest age is considered far more desirable than one that has been aggressively cleaned. When examining a 1980 penny, collectors look closely at the date, mint mark, lettering, rims, and overall strike quality. They compare the coin with known examples and check for unusual characteristics. Magnification often reveals details invisible to the naked eye. What appears ordinary at first may become much more interesting after careful inspection. The Philadelphia Mint produced 1980 pennies without any mint mark. The Denver Mint struck coins with a small D below the date. Meanwhile, the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins bearing the S mint mark. Proof coins were specially manufactured using polished dies and carefully prepared blanks to create sharp details and mirror-like surfaces. These coins were intended for collectors rather than everyday circulation, making them especially attractive when preserved in their original packaging. Although internet rumors sometimes suggest that every old penny is worth a fortune, the real value depends on rarity, condition, authenticity, and collector demand. Some rare Lincoln cents from different years have indeed sold for impressive amounts because they possess unique characteristics verified by experts. However, those sales represent exceptional coins rather than ordinary circulating pennies. The excitement comes from knowing that while valuable discoveries are uncommon, they are not impossible. Abraham Lincoln's image has remained on the penny for more than a century because his legacy continues to inspire people around the world. His leadership, determination, and belief in preserving the Union made him one of America's most respected presidents. Every Lincoln cent serves as a small reminder of those ideals, passing from one generation to the next through everyday commerce. Many experienced collectors say the greatest reward isn't always finding a valuable coin. It's learning history, understanding the minting process, and appreciating the artistry behind each design. Every coin has traveled through countless hands, witnessed changing times, and survived decades of circulation before reaching today's collector. Perhaps the most exciting part of coin collecting is that anyone can participate. You don't need expensive equipment or a large investment to begin. A simple magnifying glass, good lighting, patience, and curiosity are often enough to start exploring the coins already in your possession. Whether you search old jars, inherited collections, or pocket change, every coin offers an opportunity to learn something new. As our journey through the 1980 Lincoln cent continues, we'll explore how experts authenticate rare coins, what makes certain mint eras so desirable, and why the world's most valuable coins achieve extraordinary prices at auction. The story is far from over, and some of the most surprising facts are still ahead. When rare coins achieve impressive auction prices, it is never because someone simply claimed they were valuable. Professional authentication is essential. Experts carefully examine the metal, weight, diameter, strike quality, mint mark, and countless other details to determine whether a coin is genuine. They also inspect the surfaces under magnification, looking for signs of cleaning, damage, repairs, or alterations. Only after careful examination can a coin receive an official grade and authentication that serious collectors trust. Professional grading companies play an important role in today's coin market. They assign a numerical grade that reflects the coin's condition. A coin with heavy wear receives a lower grade, while one that appears nearly perfect receives a much higher grade. Because collectors value originality and preservation, two coins from the same year can have dramatically different values based solely on condition. The 1980 Lincoln cent is also a reminder of America's changing coinage. At the time, the penny was still made primarily from an alloy containing mostly copper. Just a few years later, rising metal prices led the United States Mint to change the composition of the cent, introducing a copper-plated zinc core in 1982. Because of this change, the 1980 penny represents one of the final years of the traditional bronze-style composition that had been familiar to Americans for generations. Many collectors enjoy comparing pennies from different decades. They notice subtle differences in strike quality, color, luster, and overall appearance. Some examples show sharp details on Lincoln's hair and coat, while others display softer features because of normal dye wear during production. These small differences help explain why experienced collectors spend so much time studying even the most common coins. Another fascinating part of the hobby is preserving coins for future generations. Collectors often place valuable pieces in protective holders to guard against scratches, fingerprints, moisture, and environmental damage. Proper storage helps maintain a coin's condition and allows future collectors to appreciate it just as much as today's enthusiasts. It is important to remember that extraordinary prices reported in headlines usually involve exceptional coins with documented rarity. A dramatic mint error, a unique die variety, or one of the finest known certified examples can command impressive prices because collectors compete for the opportunity to own something truly scarce. An ordinary circulated 1980 penny, however, is generally worth face value or a modest premium depending on its condition. The internet is filled with sensational stories claiming that every old penny is worth a fortune. While those stories capture attention, successful collectors rely on careful research, expert authentication, and realistic expectations. They understand that knowledge is far more valuable than rumors. Learning how coins are made, how errors occur, and how grading works provides a much better chance of recognizing a genuinely collectible coin. Perhaps the greatest value of the 1980 Lincoln cent is not measured in dollars at all. It represents history that people can hold in the palm of their hand. It reminds us of Abraham Lincoln's remarkable life, the craftsmanship of the United States Mint, and the countless everyday transactions that carried this small coin across the country for more than 4 decades. So before you spend another penny without looking at it, take a closer glance. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Examine the details with good lighting. You may not uncover a rare collectible, but you'll gain a deeper appreciation for the history hidden in ordinary pocket change. And if you do happen to discover an unusual coin, consider having it evaluated by a reputable coin dealer or professional grading service to learn its true significance. Coin number 3. Rising metal prices were creating a serious challenge for the United States Mint. Producing pennies using the traditional bronze composition was becoming increasingly expensive, and officials realized that a major change was necessary. Instead of continuing with the long-used bronze alloy, the Mint introduced a new copper-plated zinc composition. This decision transformed the history of the Lincoln cent and made 1982 one of the most important transition years ever produced. Long before the events of 1982, the Lincoln cent had already earned its place in American history. The coin first appeared in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It became the first regular circulating American coin to feature the portrait of a real historical figure. Lincoln's image symbolized honesty, perseverance, and leadership, values that continue to inspire people throughout the world more than a century later. Take a close look at the front of a 1982 D penny and you'll notice several familiar inscriptions. Above Lincoln's portrait appears "In God We Trust," a motto that has appeared on American coins for generations. To the left is liberty, representing one of the nation's most cherished ideals. To the right appears the date 1982, followed by the small D mint mark, identifying the coin as having been struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado. Turn the coin over and another masterpiece comes into view. The reverse displays the Lincoln Memorial, designed with extraordinary detail despite the coin's small size. Above the memorial are the words EPLUBUSUNUM, a Latin phrase meaning, out of many, one. Across the top appears United States of America, while 1 cent is displayed proudly below. Hidden within the memorial is a tiny image of Abraham Lincoln seated inside, a remarkable artistic achievement that many people never notice. Few years in American coinage are as fascinating as 1982 because the United States Mint produced several different Lincoln cent varieties during the same year. Some coins were struck using the older bronze composition, while others were made using the new copper-plated zinc composition. In addition, both large date and small date designs were used. These combinations created multiple collectible varieties, making 1982 one of the most carefully studied years in the Lincoln Cent series. Collectors often describe 1982 as the year that changed the penny forever. Before this transition, Lincoln Cents contained mostly copper. After the change, the coins became much lighter because the new composition used a zinc core covered with a thin layer of copper. This change reduced production costs while allowing the familiar appearance of the penny to remain largely unchanged. Among all the 1982 D pennies, one variety has become especially famous. The authenticated 1982 D small date bronze cent is considered one of the rarest and most important modern Lincoln cents because Denver was expected to strike small date cents only on the newer zinc planchets. The discovery of a genuine bronze example surprised the collecting community and created tremendous excitement. Authenticated specimens have sold for substantial amounts at auction because of their rarity and historical significance. This extraordinary discovery reminds collectors why careful observation matters. At first glance, an ordinary 1982 D penny and a rare transitional variety can look almost identical, yet differences in weight, date style, and composition can completely change a coin's importance. That is why experienced collectors examine every detail instead of relying on appearance alone. One of the simplest ways specialists distinguish bronze and zinc cents is by weighing them on a precise digital scale. Traditional bronze cents weigh about 3.11 grams, while copper-plated zinc cents weigh about 2.5 grams. This small difference is invisible to the eye, but plays a major role in identifying important transitional varieties. The Denver Mint, represented by the small d mint mark, has produced billions of coins throughout its history. During 1982, its presses operated at tremendous speed to meet the nation's demand for circulating coinage. Although millions upon millions of ordinary 1982 D pennies entered circulation, only a tiny number possess characteristics that make them especially desirable to collectors. Many people assume that a dirty or dark-colored penny must automatically be valuable because it looks old. In reality, color alone does not determine value. Most circulated 1982 D pennies remain worth face value or a small collector premium. Rarity, condition, authenticity, and collector demand are the factors that truly influence market value. Professional grading companies carefully inspect coins under magnification before assigning official grades. They evaluate strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and overall appearance. A coin that has never circulated and still displays brilliant original mint luster may be worth far more than another coin of the same date that spent decades in everyday commerce. Perhaps the greatest lesson taught by the 1982 D Lincoln cent is that history often hides inside ordinary objects. What appears to be a simple penny may represent one of the most significant transitions in modern American coinage. Every collector who searches through rolls of pennies understands that knowledge, patience, and attention to detail are the true keys to discovering remarkable coins. The deeper collectors study the 1982 D Lincoln cent, the more they realize that this single year contains one of the most complicated stories in modern American coin collecting. Unlike most years, where only one standard version was produced, 1982 introduced several combinations of date styles and metal compositions. That unusual situation transformed an everyday penny into one of the most researched coins in the Lincoln cent series. Another fascinating detail is the difference between the large date and small date varieties. At first glance, they appear almost identical, but careful examination reveals noticeable differences in the shape of the numbers. The 2 in the date, the thickness of the digits, and the overall spacing help experienced collectors tell one variety from another. These small details may seem unimportant, yet they are essential when identifying the rarest examples. Meanwhile, the composition change made 1982 a turning point in U.S. coin production. Earlier Lincoln cents contained mostly copper, giving them a slightly heavier feel. As metal prices increased, the mint switched to a zinc core covered with a thin copper coating. This reduced production costs while preserving the familiar appearance of the penny. Because both compositions exist during 1982, collectors often compare weights to help identify different varieties. Imagine discovering a 1982D small date cent and wondering whether it could be the famous bronze transitional variety. That possibility is exactly why collectors continue searching through old jars, coin rolls, estate collections, and inherited boxes of pennies. While genuine examples are extremely rare, the excitement of the search keeps the hobby alive for millions of enthusiasts. Every valuable coin begins with careful observation. Experienced collectors examine the lettering, mint mark, rims, surfaces, and overall strike before reaching any conclusions. They know that unusual appearance alone does not guarantee rarity. Authentication by a respected grading service is essential before any extraordinary value can be confirmed. One important lesson every collector learns is never to clean a potentially valuable coin. Cleaning may seem harmless, but it often leaves tiny scratches that permanently reduce collector appeal. Original surfaces are highly valued because they preserve the coin exactly as it left the mint. Even a coin with natural tunning or light dirt is usually preferred over one that has been polished. The story of Abraham Lincoln gives the coin an importance that goes far beyond money. Born in humble circumstances, Lincoln educated himself through determination and hard work. His leadership during the Civil War preserved the Union and forever changed American history. Every Lincoln cent honors those achievements, making it one of the most meaningful circulating coins in the United States. Throughout the years, countless internet stories have claimed that every old penny is worth a fortune. Those stories often create excitement, but successful collectors rely on facts instead of rumors. They understand that only genuinely rare varieties, authenticated mint errors, and exceptional high-grade examples achieve significant auction prices. When a rare coin sells for an impressive amount, several factors usually come together. The coin may have an unusual mint error, a documented transitional composition, exceptional preservation, or historical importance. These qualities make collectors compete to own something that very few people will ever have the opportunity to possess. Even though most 1982D pennies remain common, they still occupy an important place in American numismatic history. They represent the year the Lincoln cent changed forever, marking the transition from the traditional bronze composition to the lighter copper-plated zinc design. That historical significance alone makes the year memorable among collectors. Many beginners start their collecting journey with Lincoln cents because they are inexpensive, widely available, and rich in history. As their knowledge grows, they begin recognizing small differences that once seemed impossible to notice. What first looked like ordinary pocket change becomes a fascinating collection of history, craftsmanship, and discovery. As we continue exploring the remarkable story of the 1982D Lincoln cent, we'll look at how authenticated rarities reach major auctions, what makes collectors compete for specific coins, and the practical steps every collector should take before deciding whether a coin deserves professional examination. The final chapter of the 1982D Lincoln cent story reminds us that every great discovery begins with curiosity. Across America, collectors continue searching through bank rolls, old piggy banks, inherited collections, and forgotten jars of pennies because history has shown that remarkable coins can occasionally be found in the most ordinary places. While those discoveries are rare, the excitement of the hunt is what keeps the hobby alive. One of the biggest reasons the 1982D small date bronze cent attracts so much attention is that it was never expected to exist. During the mint's transition from bronze to copper-plated zinc, a very small number of unusual coins appear to have been struck on the older bronze planchets. Because authenticated examples are exceptionally rare, they have become some of the most sought-after modern Lincoln cents. Their value comes from rarity, expert authentication, and strong collector demand, not simply from the date alone. Whenever a coin is believed to be valuable, authentication is essential. Professional grading services examine the coin's weight, metal composition, strike quality, date style, mint mark, and surfaces before determining whether it is genuine. Without that expert verification, it is impossible to confidently identify an extraordinary rarity. Collectors also understand that patience is one of the most valuable tools in the hobby. It may take months or even years before finding an interesting variety, but every coin examined adds experience. Over time, collectors learn to recognize subtle differences that once seemed invisible, making the search both educational and rewarding. Another important fact is that not every unusual-looking coin is a mint error. Damage caused after the coin entered circulation, such as scratches, dents, corrosion, or environmental exposure, does not usually increase value. Genuine mint errors occur during the manufacturing process and display characteristics that experts can identify. If you believe you have an unusual 1982 penny, avoid cleaning or polishing it. Store it in a protective holder, and if it appears to have significant collector potential, consider having it examined by a reputable coin dealer or a professional grading service. Preserving the coin in its original condition gives it the best chance of retaining any collector value. The legacy of Abraham Lincoln continues to give the 1-cent coin a special place in American history. More than a century after his portrait first appeared on the cent, his image remains a symbol of leadership, perseverance, and national unity. Every Lincoln penny, whether common or rare, carries that enduring historical connection. The year 1982 will always stand apart because it marked one of the most important transitions in the history of the Lincoln cent. The change from bronze to copper-plated zinc, the introduction of different date styles, and the discovery of rare transitional varieties combined to create one of the most fascinating chapters in modern U.S. coinage. Although stories on the internet sometimes claim that every 1982 penny is worth millions, the reality is more interesting. Genuine rarities do exist, but they are exceptionally scarce. Most 1982 pennies found in circulation are worth face value or a modest premium, while authenticated rare varieties can command much higher prices because collectors recognize their true rarity. The greatest reward in coin collecting is often the knowledge gained along the journey. Every coin teaches something about history, economics, art, manufacturing, and the people who used it in everyday life. Even a common penny becomes more meaningful once you understand the story behind its creation. So the next time you receive change, don't rush to spend every penny without looking. Examine the date, check for the mint mark, compare the design, and appreciate the craftsmanship. While the chances of finding an extraordinary rarity are small, every search deepens your understanding of one of America's most iconic coins. If you enjoyed exploring the remarkable history of the 1982 Lincoln cent, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another journey into the fascinating world of rare coins, mint eras, and American numismatic history. Share this video with friends and fellow collectors, and remember, sometimes the smallest coin can tell the biggest story. Coin number 4. Travel back to the early 1980s, when the United States was adapting to economic changes, and the mint had recently introduced the new copper-plated zinc cent. The year 1983 marked one of the first full years after this major transition. Billions of pennies entered circulation, quietly becoming part of everyday life in grocery stores, restaurants, vending machines, and family piggy banks. Few people imagined these ordinary-looking coins would one day attract the interest of collectors decades later. Long before the 1983 penny existed, Abraham Lincoln had already become one of the most respected figures in American history. Born in Kentucky in 1809, Lincoln rose from humble beginnings through determination, self-education, and perseverance. As the 16th President of the United States, he guided the nation through the Civil War and helped preserve the Union. His portrait on the 1-cent coin honors a legacy that continues to inspire generations around the world. Look carefully at the front of a 1983 Lincoln cent and you'll see more than just a portrait. Across the top appear the words "In God We Trust," reflecting a national motto that has appeared on American coins for many years. To the left stands the word liberty, representing one of the country's most cherished principles. On the right appears the date 1983, and depending on where the coin was struck, you may also find a small D mint mark beneath the date, identifying the Denver Mint. Coins struck in Philadelphia carry no mint mark, while proof coins from San Francisco display an S. Flip the coin over, and another remarkable design comes into view. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, one of America's best-known monuments. Above it are the words EPLUBUSUNUM, meaning out of many, one, symbolizing unity among the states. Across the top appear United States of America, while 1 cent proudly identifies the coin's denomination. Hidden inside the memorial is an incredibly small image of Abraham Lincoln seated within, a detail many people never notice without magnification. Unlike earlier decades, the 1983 Lincoln cent was produced using the newer copper-plated zinc composition. Although it still looked like the traditional copper penny, its core was made primarily of zinc with a thin outer layer of copper. This change reduced production costs while allowing the coin to maintain its familiar appearance. Millions upon millions of 1983 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Because production numbers were so high, most examples remain common today. A typical circulated 1983 penny with scratches, wear, or discoloration is generally worth face value or only a small collector premium. Yet collectors never stop examining them because rare varieties can occasionally be discovered. Among the most famous discoveries from this year is the 1983 double die reverse. On this rare variety, certain letters and design elements on the reverse appear noticeably doubled because of a die-making error. Unlike damage that occurs after the coin leaves the mint, a genuine double die is created during the manufacturing process and becomes a true collectible variety. Authenticated examples have attracted strong interest from collectors because they are much scarcer than ordinary 1983 cents. Another reason collectors study the 1983 penny so closely is that the minting process involves incredibly powerful machines operating at high speed. Even with strict quality control, occasional mistakes can occur. Coins may be struck off-center, show die cracks, or display other genuine mint errors. Although most coins are perfectly normal, these uncommon mistakes add excitement to the hobby and remind collectors that no manufacturing process is completely perfect. Condition plays a tremendous role in determining value. Two 1983 pennies may share the same date and mint mark, yet one may be worth far more simply because it has been preserved in outstanding condition. Coins that retain their original mint luster, sharp details, and clean surfaces are generally much more desirable than examples that have circulated heavily for decades. One important lesson every collector learns is never to clean an old coin. Cleaning often removes the natural surface and leaves tiny scratches that reduce collector appeal. Professional numismatists usually prefer original coins, even if they show natural agging, because untouched surfaces preserve the coin's authenticity. Perhaps the greatest appeal of the 1983 Lincoln cent is that it reminds us how history can hide in the smallest everyday objects. What appears to be an ordinary penny may represent an important chapter in the evolution of American coinage. Every coin carries not only its monetary value, but also the story of the era in which it was created, the people who used it, and the history it silently witnessed over the decades. The deeper collectors investigate the 1983 Lincoln cent, the more fascinating its story becomes. At first glance, every 1983 penny may appear identical, but experienced collectors know that the smallest differences can separate an ordinary coin from a highly desirable collectible. Years of study have taught numismatists that careful observation often reveals details invisible to the casual eye. Imagine placing two 1983 pennies side by side under bright light. One has sharp lettering, brilliant luster, and crisp details, while the other shows years of circulation with worn surfaces and faded color. Although both coins were produced during the same year, their collector value can be very different because preservation is one of the most important factors in numismatics. One of the most famous collectible varieties from this year is the 1983 double die reverse. On authenticated examples, parts of the lettering on the reverse display noticeable doubling, created during the die manufacturing process. This is a genuine mint variety rather than damage that occurred after the coin entered circulation. Because relatively few examples have been found, collectors actively search for this variety. Beyond double dies, the minting process occasionally produced other unusual errors. Some coins were struck slightly off-center, while others developed die cracks or die chips. These mint-made mistakes occurred before the coins entered circulation, making them interesting to collectors who appreciate unusual pieces of minting history. Professional grading is another important chapter in the story of the 1983 penny. Authentication companies examine coins using specialized equipment and years of experience. They evaluate strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and originality before assigning a grade. This independent assessment helps buyers and sellers understand a coin's condition and authenticity. Many beginners assume that an old, dark, or dirty penny must automatically be valuable. In reality, age and appearance alone do not determine value. Most circulated 1983 Lincoln cents remain common because billions were produced. What truly matters is rarity, condition, and whether the coin possesses a recognized mint era or variety. The Philadelphia Mint struck 1983 cents without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint produced coins carrying the small d below the date. The San Francisco Mint created specially made proof coins with an S mint mark for collectors. Each facility played an important role in producing America's coinage, and each has its own place in the history of the Lincoln cent. Abraham Lincoln remains at the heart of every Lincoln cent ever produced. His portrait represents more than a president. It symbolizes determination, leadership, and the belief that perseverance can overcome even the greatest challenges. Every penny carrying his image serves as a small reminder of those enduring ideals. Collectors often describe coin collecting as a treasure hunt fueled by knowledge rather than luck. The more a person learns about mint marks, varieties, die eras, and grading standards, the better their chances of recognizing something unusual. Education becomes one of the most valuable tools a collector can possess. History has shown that remarkable discoveries sometimes occur in unexpected places. Valuable varieties have been found in inherited collections, forgotten coin jars, bank rolls, estate sales, and even ordinary pocket change. Although such discoveries are uncommon, they inspire collectors to continue searching year after year. As our journey through the 1983 Lincoln cent continues, one final chapter remains. We'll explore how collectors protect valuable coins, separate myths from reality, and understand why the true excitement of coin collecting comes from history, patience, and careful observation rather than sensational internet rumors. The final chapter of the 1983 Lincoln cent story reveals why this small coin continues to capture the imagination of collectors more than 40 years after it was minted. While billions of ordinary pennies entered circulation, a tiny number of unusual varieties and mint eras became prized collectibles. These exceptional coins remind us that sometimes the smallest details make the biggest difference. Every serious collector knows that authentication is essential before assigning significant value to any coin. A penny that appears unusual should be examined by a reputable coin dealer or professional grading service. Experts study its weight, dimensions, strike quality, mint mark, and surface characteristics to determine whether it is an authentic variety or simply a damaged circulation coin. One of the greatest misconceptions surrounding old pennies is the belief that every coin with a 1983 date is worth a fortune. In reality, most 1983 Lincoln cents are worth only face value or a modest collector premium, depending on their condition. The coins that achieve impressive auction prices are almost always authenticated rarities, major mint errors, or exceptionally well-preserved examples. Another important lesson is that collectors value originality. Cleaning, polishing, or altering a coin can permanently reduce its collector appeal. Even if a coin appears dull or naturally toned, preserving its original surface is usually the best choice. Experienced collectors prefer coins that remain as close as possible to the condition in which they left the mint. The legacy of Abraham Lincoln gives every 1-cent coin a significance that extends far beyond its purchasing power. From his humble beginnings to his leadership during the Civil War, Lincoln's story continues to inspire people around the world. His portrait on the penny serves as a lasting tribute to courage, perseverance, and unity. The year 1983 also represents an important stage in the evolution of American coinage. Following the composition change introduced in 1982, the mint continued producing copper-plated zinc cents while maintaining the familiar Lincoln design. This period marks the beginning of the modern era of the Lincoln cent that remains in circulation today. For many collectors, the real reward isn't simply finding an expensive coin. It is the excitement of learning history, understanding how coins are made, and appreciating the artistry behind every design. Each penny carries a journey through decades of commerce, passing from one person to another while silently witnessing everyday life. If you discover a 1983 penny that appears unusual, examine it carefully under good lighting. Look at the date, the mint mark, the lettering, and the reverse design. Compare it with known varieties, and if you believe it may be something special, seek an expert opinion before making any decisions. Patience and knowledge are far more valuable than guesswork. The enduring popularity of the Lincoln cent proves that even the smallest denomination can have a remarkable story. Whether a coin is common or rare, it represents a piece of American history that has survived through generations. That connection to the past is one of the reasons coin collecting remains such a rewarding hobby. As we conclude this journey, remember that genuine rarities are defined by verified rarity, condition, and collector demand, not by sensational headlines. The thrill of the hunt comes from discovering history and recognizing the extraordinary among the ordinary. If you enjoyed exploring the fascinating history and collectible varieties of the 1983 Lincoln 1-cent coin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more stories about rare coins, mint eras, and American numismatic history. Share this video with fellow collectors and keep looking closely at your pocket change. You never know what piece of history you might discover next.